Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
On behalf of the National Foundation for Cancer Research, Aim High Accelerator Fund, and the Asian Fund for Cancer Research, it is my profound honor to welcome all of you to the 2024 NFCR Global Summit and Award Ceremonies for Cancer Research and Entrepreneurship. Over the past several years, this event has evolved into a beacon of innovation and collaboration, uniquely bridging the entire spectrum of cancer research, drug development, and cancer care. To see so many familiar faces, wonderful friends, dedicated sponsors, and past returnees who have returned to this year's event again, it's such a privilege. And to our first-time sponsors and attendees, welcome to our community of movers and shakers, and you won't regret you are part of it. This annual NFCR Global Summit has become a premier gathering where new approaches to cancer care, research, and business are shared, and those who have made huge impacts are celebrated and recognized. Each year, we exchange insights on current unmet needs for cancer patients and share our visions of the next groundbreaking advancements in the fight against cancer. Today's event, especially our morning panel discussions, and really amplify the visionary spirit of NFCR's co-founder, Dr. Albert Szent-Györgyi, who once said, "Discovery consists of seeing what everyone has seen and thinking what nobody else has thought." Each of you exemplifies this innovative mindset in your research and also your dedication to fighting cancer and make cures possible. Annually, we converge from diverse fields and disciplines for a day filled with dynamic dialogue and interaction and stimulating exchange. As Henry Ford once said, "Coming together is a beginning. Staying together is a progress. And working together is a success." And this is exactly the essence of the purpose of the NFCR Global Summit. We thrive on fostering collaboration among scientists, biotech innovators, patient advocates, and business leaders and investors, all united in the quest for cancer cures. Past summits have demonstrated that today's discussions and interactions will spark new collaborations, new partnerships, and strong friendships. This event is a cornerstone of uniting key leaders in our community. We are driven by a shared mission. For those who know NFCR and now Aim High and the AFCR, we are fully committed to fighting for cancer patients, supporting pioneering cancer researchers, and funding the innovative biotech entrepreneurs who embody innovative thinking and passion for discovery and saving patient lives. So I look forward to working with all of you who are here to make cures possible and drive cures forward. Together, we can make a significant impact globally. With that, I'm delighted to hand over the podium to my esteemed colleague and good friend, Dr. Cavenee, NFCR's Chair of Scientific Advisory Board. Webb.
Well, good morning. It's really early on the West Coast. I'd just like to add my welcome to Sujuan's remarks, and I'd also like to have a round of applause for Sujuan, because this meeting is really her brainchild, and she's really pushed this forward. And as you can tell, every year the number of people who want to come to this meeting is larger and larger, and more diverse. And one of the reasons for that is because the meeting itself is so diverse. We like to get people from all different, I was going to say walks of life, but not exactly walks of life, but all different parts of the cancer enterprise together, investors, scientists, clinicians, and so on, to sort of rub belly buttons, I was going to say, and get to talk to each other in a way which is non-threatening and in which everybody is sort of equal. And that's what Sujuan was talking about in terms of the meeting being a boiling pot of things to happen. And lots of investments have happened here, lots of collaborations have happened here, and I hope that more will happen today. So thank you very much. I'm glad that you're here. So I have two jobs this morning. You're going to notice I have a lot of jobs from Sujuan, but I have two jobs. One is that, which I just did, so welcome. The second job is to introduce our plenary speaker. And I have a bunch of formal remarks written down, but I'm not going to do that. I think I'm going to just tell stories because I like to do that. So the story is that when I was a graduate student, as you might imagine, this was when the monks were still writing with quill pens. I was in the department which was called microbiology and immunology. Okay? And that basically is what every medical school in the country has, is a department which has and immunology attached to that. And I couldn't really understand why that was so until I took my first immunology course. And I opened the book, and I didn't understand a word. I looked at it and I said, this is some kind of a language from some other country. So I started to try to understand how this stuff that I was trying to understand was going to affect me as a biochemist. And I realized it wasn't, because I couldn't understand it. So I started to look into this, and as it turned out, it was really like a monastic order. So there was a language, which was incomprehensible to most people. There were the high priests, and the high priests were people like Gus Nossel, Lloyd Old, and a variety of other people who came into my life later as my bosses, so I really had to understand it. And those people would talk in this language, which was not accessible to the scientific public. And I think it actually got worse and worse because they wanted to be more and more secretive. But what they used to say at the end of all of this jargon was, and we're going to cure cancer. And we would say, us biochemists are going to cure cancer, not you guys. And there were the doubters, of course. The doubters would say, well, mice don't get tumors. They don't have an immune system. But it turns out they actually have a little bit of an immune system. So how important could this be? So I sort of ignored it for a long time. At one point, I was on the ACR board of directors, and there was a young guy there named Drew Pardall who was also on that board. And he was the first guy that I could talk to who could explain to me what some of these arcane things meant. And I thought, wow, this guy really understands it. And partly it was because he was young, but not so much. Not so much anymore, I might say. But he would explain it in ways that people like Lloyd could not explain to me. So Lloyd would say, well, you should understand this. And I would say, Lloyd, I don't get it. In fact, I'll just tell you parenthetically that at one point Lloyd and I had isolated a tumor antigen. We had developed an antibody against it, a therapeutic antibody, which worked. And in the first experiments, when it worked, Lloyd called me on the phone, and he said, Webb, you're an immunologist. And I said, Lloyd, if you ever talk to me like that again, I'm leaving. Anyway, so I have the great honor today of introducing Drew Pardall. So Drew is a professor at Hopkins, and he's done many things in immunology. I'm not going to read the whole list, but I'll just tell you a couple of them. And some of them come back to the jargon that I was talking about, because he discovered some of the jargon carrying cells. So like the gamma delta T cell, for example, which means nothing to me. But as I understand it, means a lot to the host. NKT cells, interferon-producing killer dendritic cells, and he also discovered one of the ligands for PD-1, which is something that everybody knows about. So Drew has had a long and very distinguished career in this field of immunology, and in particular of cancer immunology. And I'm very happy that you are going to be our plenary speaker, Drew. So please come up.